All right, let's get this party started. The next step is liming. I've only rinsed the hide twice, but it seems pretty clean. I think it's fine with 2 rinsings. The lime is made from burnt seashells. I can't really cover how to make that here today. It's a fairly simple process. I'm sure I'll do videos on it someday, where you just layer shells and wood in a small kiln or even just a barrel, and you burn it down, and then you add water to the burnt seashells, and they make heat and slake and turn into lime putty. So lime putty is what I'm using here today. You can use wood ashes if you can make them, if you have enough of them and they're strong enough for the hide size of hide that you have, or lime from the store, but you don't want agricultural lime. You don't want dolomite lime, which is just ground up limestone, or ag lime. What you want is type S lime or builder's lime. And around here you can just go to any hardware store pretty much. If it's a good size hardware store, they'll have builder's lime. So this is lime putty. It's very squishy, fine paste, or putty rather. I never measure my lime, whether I'm using type S or lime putty. I'll just put a bunch in there and call it good. You can't put too much in because only so much of it will dissolve into the water. And once that amount dissolves into there, no more can dissolve into it. So that just keeps the liquid at the lime solution at a certain pH. It's never really too strong, like in the sense that it's going to, really ruin the skin. The skin is going to swell up a lot. I mean, you can see it's already pretty thick here, but it's really going to swell up. It's going to get very rubbery, and then the hair will start to slip out. Let the lime do some work for us, basically. You want to make sure that the skin is completely submersed all the time. If you need to, put rocks on it or whatever it takes. So we want to stir this about once a day to make sure that the lime solution is getting to all parts of the skin. It's hard to say how long it will take, but I'm basically waiting for the hair to slip out very easily. So we'll be coming back to check on it. And it's been, I guess it's going on about 20 hours. And I just, there's no way it's ready yet. This could take, it could be in here for up to a couple weeks even. So if we look here at the hide, it's starting already to get this kind of hard rubbery feel that it gets from, basically the skin swells up and takes on a whole lot of water, and it'll get much thicker than it was, and very, yeah, like hard and rubbery are about the best terms I can think of to describe it. Make sure it's submersed all the way, kind of keep poking it until all the air bubbles come out. It's gotten much more hard and rubbery in places, and it's starting to, the hair's starting to slip out, you can see, but not as easy as I want it to come out. This hide's been in the lime solution for about a week, and I'm just going to overhaul it here. It's gotten pretty warm, and I've stirred this several times. Ideally I'd stir it every day, but there's ideal and then there's reality. So I just want to make sure that the solution is strong enough. So there's a lot of lime in the solution, but only so much of it can be dissolved into the water at any given time. So that's the, solubility factor, like how much can be actually suspended in the water, making the effective solution. And that's what's doing the work, is the lime water, basically. So there's extra lime in there. What I'm going to do is pull the hide out and mix it up really good to make sure that the solution is full strength. I don't think I'll need to add any more lime. I threw quite a bit of lime putty in there. Of course, while we're in here, we can check the progress. This is a paint mixer that I forged a bunch of years ago. It works pretty good. Sounds like my battery's almost dead. Oh well, that'll have to do. Well, let's take a close look at this hide here. As you can see, the hair's coming off when I just rub the skin. But you see all these small fine hairs here. It's not coming out as easily as I would like it to. The skin is very swollen and rubbery. That's a good sign that the lime is working. But it definitely, I want it in there longer. I'm gonna say it's gonna be in at least another week. If for no other reason, that I just have a lot of other stuff to do right now. Springtime chores, and I probably won't get to it. So it could be even longer than that. What I don't want to do is leave it in for a ridiculously long time, because the lime and also the bacteria that starts to grow in the lime solution will start to eat away and dissolve the protein that we're actually going to make the glue out of, the collagen. So too long's too long, but there is a lot of room for procrastination, and I'm going to procrastinate probably on this quite a bit. At least another week though, is what I'm thinking. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks now since I put this hide on lime, and now I'm going to start rinsing it. I actually haven't checked it to see how ready it is, but given that I'm making hide glue and not leather, I'm guessing it's good enough, and I'll find out soon. I want to rinse the hide a little bit before I put it on the beam, and I actually might want to rinse it for a few days even to get it to kind of relax a little bit, because it's going to be super rubbery. And sometimes that can be hard, make it hard to handle on the beam, because it's just so stuck in the position it's in, and yeah, just kind of rubbery and hard to handle. It doesn't have the drape and the floppiness that it used to have. That may help in the fleshing process to have it have just a little more body, but I'm guessing that it's going to have more body and more rubberiness than I want. You can see the hair comes off easily now, just in handfuls. So this leftover lime solution here can be used in the garden, or it could also be used to tan hides. In making leather, like bark tanned leather, sometimes using an old lime solution is beneficial. It probably has to do with the enzymes and protein compounds like ammonia dissolved into the solution that have properties that affect, they affect the hide in a certain way. For hide glue, probably using a fresh, strong, what we would call like a hot solution would be better. But if I had some hides that I wanted to bark tan right now, I would definitely put them in this used solution without strengthening it and just see how that progressed. And then if they needed it, I might strengthen the solution later on. As it stands, I have way too much to do to be tanning any bark tanned hides right now, so I could leave the solution to sit for a while, but eventually it's going to get really skanky and nasty, so I'm probably going to end up using it on the garden. And almost any garden, you know, any soil that's not already extremely alkaline can usually use lime. Here my soils are very acidic, like around 5 something, pH 5 something, and you know, kind of the more lime the better. The first thing I'll use them on is tomatoes, because tomatoes get blossom end rot, which is a calcium deficit issue. And of course, lime is calcium. It's calcium oxide, hydroxide, or calcium carbonate, depending on where it is in the lime cycle. So the first thing I'll put it on is the tomatoes, and I find that works really well to control blossom end rot, having this, you know, calcium that's already dissolved in water. So it's already a water-soluble element, you know, and it works really good and really fast, as opposed to, say, if you ground up like a piece of limestone or an oyster shell, which is calcium carbonate, put that in the soil, it's going to take much longer to go into solution, become soluble by whatever means that happens in the soil, and then eventually end up in your plant. So this is already in a water-soluble state and already dissolved in water. So I'll just run it up and down the rows of tomatoes, and also peppers and eggplants, because they'll get the same blossom end rot issues, although it looks a little bit different. So this is the second rinsing. Now you think of the first rinsing was basically to remove all the mineral lime. So kind of think of it this way, all right? So I said before that it's the lime water that is doing the work, basically. This is a caustic solution of dissolved lime dissolved in water. The extra lime in the bottom of the tub provided a place, a source of more lime to dissolve into the water as the hide took up lime. So the hide is basically absorbing lime from the water. You can think of it that way. And if there was no extra lime in the water, say if I just use pure lime water with no mineral lime in the bottom, then the hide would weaken the solution. So the mineral lime in the bottom was keeping the strength up. Now that I've rinsed off the mineral lime and I'm adding fresh, clean water, this clean water is providing a place for the lime to go to leave the hide and go into solution. So I have a water that is not saturated with lime, but the lime is going to want to move out of the skin and into the water. So that's how this works. And as the skin is fleshed, rinsed repeatedly in fresh changes of water, dehaired, all that stuff that we're going to go through it next, then more and more of that lime will move out, and we just want to get as much out as possible. There's another step where we're going to dry the skin, and any lime remaining, since we can't get all of it out, so any lime remaining will turn into limestone or calcium carbonate, which apparently doesn't really affect the glue. So we'll talk more about that later, though. In the meantime, I guess I'll see you tomorrow, probably tomorrow, if I don't procrastinate too much. That's another thing. This took a little longer than I thought. I didn't stir it as much as I should have, which I never do, and I never learned that. Maybe someday. But that's okay, because the lime solution is fairly bacteriostatic, which basically means that it inhibits bacteria. It doesn't inhibit all bacteria, but you know, if I was soaking that skin in plain water for 3 weeks instead of lime, it would be really nasty and stinky and rotten. I would have lost a lot of the hide substance that we're actually trying to make glue or leather, if you're making leather, out of. So not good. So you can afford to procrastinate when the hide is in lime, but now that it's in fresh water and we're changing the pH, you know, the high pH, the very high pH is really was keeping the bacteria from growing. But now that we're shifting that back more towards an acid state, or at least in that direction, this is no longer, you know, I just can't procrastinate that much. So it helps to keep the changes of water up, but you know, like changing the water every day, that really helps a lot. But there's just really only so much room for procrastination from this point on. So hopefully I'll get around to it tomorrow. It depends on how things go around here. So one thing I forgot to mention is you should stay away from anything that will rust when you're soaking hides and using, you know, tubs and all that. So think aluminum, stainless steel, plastic, wood, any of that stuff's fine.